Before they were famous. Before they hit the big time. Rare footage and photos. A trip back to the early days when they were rude, crude, and socially unacceptable. Before they were rock stars. A VH1 musical journey from the cradle to the stage. Step aside, teen idols. There's a new force threatening to drown you out. They're loud, lewd, and defining the sound of the new millennium. They're music's newest kids on the block, white boy rappers. We're not talking soft like Vanilla Ice. We're talking rap with a rock edge. My name is like Kid Rock and the original Slim Shady, Eminem.
Hi, my name is what? My name is Slim Shady.
Two natives of that legendary rap haven, Michigan. Both can rap, both can rock, and both discovered their flavor at a young age. Here's 20-year-old Kid Rock in 1991, letting it all hang loose in the student center at his hometown college, Michigan's Oakland University. He was putting the whole package together.
And now I talk a lot of shit on this fight, but it boils down to one thing. No matter what I say, I work my fucking ass off to get where the fuck I'm at.
Strong mastery of the mic.
And now in this whole motherfucking state, I'm number one. Number one. And if you want to know why I'm number one, I'll say.
And a killer stage act.
Because I work like a bitch to get the job done. Yeah!
He could strip, jump, and dance. Kid knew how to put on a show. He also knew that if he was going to reach the top, his act needed one more element, something big. In a manner of speaking. Enter the perfect sidekick, Joe C. He's barely 4 feet tall, but Joe's always been large and in charge, especially in his custom-made cruising vessel. Sure, sometimes he got lost in the shuffle, but he was a real trooper, even in the most awkward situations. Here's 23-year-old Joe posing for an album cover photo shoot. He had a tough time getting in touch with the photographer's artistic vision.
You gotta put your hands right on their asses.
But hey, you gotta do the dirty work if you want to play with the kid. Now on to the young prince of alliteration, Marshall Mathers, otherwise known as Eminem. As a kid, Marshall wasn't much for school. He failed 9th grade 3 times. Luckily, he was more comfortable on stage than in the classroom. Here's the 18-year-old budding beat boy in 1991, performing at a high school party in his friend's basement in suburban Detroit.
A stanchion, slapped by the wind as I begin. Do you know who I am?
Eminem had mad skills and kept his act surprisingly clean.
I'm gonna take this kind of slow, all right? All right. Put him to the flip side. Hope he can swim, cause if he can't, he's gonna try to rip tide his point. But the old man ain't snoring, cause you gotta get up pretty damn early in the morning.
The audience doesn't look too thrilled, but he's got his boys behind him 100%. With the help of his loyal crew, Eminem quickly got his act out of the cellar.
Know what I'm saying, champ? Know what I'm saying?
Here he is a year later competing in Detroit's Shakedown Takedown rap contest. Eminem's keeping it on the down low here. It was kind of like Beastie Boys meets the WWF. But the star of this act couldn't keep his identity hidden for too long. He pulled off his mask, unveiling a rap superhero. Coming up, they were 4 boys headed for Broadway until they took a rock and roll detour.
I got a guitar, you got drums, let's have a band.
Behold the theatrics of Toad the Wet Sprocket. Plus,
allow me to introduce myself. I'm a man of wealth and taste.
Get ready to stare genius right in the face. witnessed the many musical moods of Sister Hazel. And he was just a troublemaker going nowhere fast.
We had to make a decision, either join him or kick him out of the house.
Until he hopped aboard a rock and roll bus speeding towards stardom.
Hi, we're Styx. You'd be surprised who rides the DTA.
The rise of a 70s supergroup, next. Hey, rock stars sure look a whole lot different today than they did back in high school. These two cooked up one of the hottest songs of 1999. Can you recognize them? Guess who they are when Before They Were Rock Stars returns. Time to flip through our high school yearbook archives. This unlikely duo dominated the charts in 1999. Can you recognize them?
Hall & Oates. I don't know.
Wallflower, Jacob Dylan, and Bob Dylan.
Carlos Santana and Rob Thomas. Am I the king of the world here? Like a ocean under the moon.
Emotion that I get from you. You got the kind of loving that can be so smooth, yeah.
Give me a heart, make it real, or else forget about it.
It's Rob Thomas and Carlos Santana. This May December pairing produced the smash hit Smooth, took home 3 Grammys, and rode the top of the charts for 12 weeks. Rob and Carlos may be on the same page musically, but when it comes to their high school days, these dudes are a generation apart. Guitar legend Carlos Santana has been cranking out the classic rock for 3 decades. His band Santana had 2 #1 albums before Rob was even born. For Carlos, the dream began way back in the early 60s at San Francisco's Mission High. His fellow students had no idea there was a future star in their midst, or how to spell his name. Not to worry, Carlos got plenty of props later on.
I was like, oh, look, I'm on stage, and I'm trying, trying to keep my mind off the cameras and trying to keep my mind off the fact that I'm standing right next to, to Carlos, and you don't want to let him down.
This guy looks like someone you see drag racing in Indiana or in Alabama or something like that.
Rob may have considered himself Mr. Smooth back in high school, but his style hasn't exactly stood the test of time.
Got a nice mullet thing going there with that hair.
He did try his best to be cool, singing in the chorus and playing rough on the football team. But Rob didn't really become frontman material until later on.
He's very graceful. There's a lot of humility. He's very elegant, but most of all, he's very comfortable in his own skin. And sexy, yeah.
Here's one band that looked into their crystal ball and saw rock greatness. It's Styx. With a career spanning 3 decades, these Grammy-nominated giants became the first band to score 4 consecutive triple platinum albums. But long ago, founder and lead singer Dennis DeYoung seemed more interested in playing bar mitzvahs than big arenas.
When I was 7, I begged my mother to give me accordion lessons because the kid next door played accordion. So I thought, oh, look at that thing. You go like this and all sorts of music comes out and people smile. This is a good thing.
For a while, it looked like Dennis would live the quiet life of an average accordion player. He indulged his love of the hometown White Sox, got himself a sweetheart, the lovely Suzanne, and did his time at John M. Harlan High School. But it was a chance encounter with future bandmates John and Chuck Pinozzo that changed his life forever.
One day I was walking down the street. I heard music coming out of the house. I realized they had a little band together. So I says, bring your stuff over to my basement. And so they brought him over and Styx was formed.
Not so fast. They weren't called Styx just yet.
The very first name was Trade Winds. Then there was a band in New York that had a hit song called New Yorker's a Lonely Town. They were called the Trade Winds, so we changed their names to TW4. That's how it started.
TW4 continued their musical journey together, enrolling in Chicago State College. Dennis was an ace student, and he definitely dressed the part. But John was a bit of a class clown. By day, Dennis, John, and Chuck paid their dues in Chicago State's illustrious choir group. By night, TW4 explored the wild world of Windy City rock. But TW4 soon found themselves stuck in first gear. To spice things up, they turned to a crosstown band rival and badass known as JY, guitarist James Young. Growing up, Jim had all the talent in the world, but no discipline.
Everyone in my family was started on piano at age 5. You would sit down, you would play the piano. And so we all did, for better or for worse.
Jim found the clarinet more to his liking, and when he wasn't swinging with the Calumet High Concert Band, he was doing laps for the school swim team. But more than anything, Jim wanted to rock. With JY on board, TW4 paid their income tax, recorded an album, and changed their name to Styx. Behold the holy grail for Styx collectors everywhere. Rare footage of their 1972 performance later aired on the Chicago show Underground. It's been kept in the vault for almost 30 years. They had the crowd at Milwaukee's Lakefront Park feeling groovy, but Styx didn't really start flowing until they hooked up with a certain wild-eyed Southern boy. Tommy Shaw. This little guy was always smiling. With his sure hands and way with the ladies, Tommy was destined for rock stardom, even if his early gigs were a little tame.
You know, I just remember being in the 6th grade, getting out of class, and I'd get my little Silvertone guitar with the amp in the case and go in there and sing, "I Want to Hold Your Hand," and they just thought it was the coolest thing in the world.
When Tommy got to Robert E. Lee High School, it was more of the same. Football, females, and rock and roll. Soon Tommy started spending all his waking hours with bands like Jabbo Stokes and MS Funk, a parent's worst nightmare.
We had to make a decision to either join him or kick him out of the house. So we took a vote and we joined him there, and we never have had so much fun.
Tommy continued playing the club circuit, but his real break came in 1975 when he landed an audition with one of Chicago's biggest rock bands, Styx.
I was just blown away by it was just one of the greatest rock bands I'd ever heard, and suddenly there I was auditioning. And we sat around the piano, and they gave me this ultra-high part to sing in Lady, which was, I guess, the acid test. And you had to have cool hair and be able to hit that D over triple high E, and I did that, and my hair was looking good that day, and I got the job.
With their lineup set, Styx hit the road. And what better place to kick off a national tour than Duluth, Minnesota? The city was so excited, they featured the band in a PSA for the Duluth Transit Authority.
Hi, we're Styx. You'd be surprised who rides the DTA. It's the way to go. Ride the DTA.
Styx were on their way, from Duluth to paradise. It's Sister Hazel, the Jammin' Florida quintet who won over the college mixer crowd with the good time anthem, All For You. Being the life of the party comes naturally to these Southern boys.
I thought I'd seen it all, 'cause it's been a long, long time.
Let's start with frontman Ken Block. This healthy baby boy had plenty of reasons to smile. Flying high in Dad's arms or kicking back poolside, Ken had it good. He also had the makings of a respectable musician. But when he grew up, heavy metal mayhem ensued. Here's Ken in 1988, raising a ruckus with his early band, Scorcher. The perfect training ground for his frat rock future. Singer-guitarist Drew Copeland's been a big cheese since high school when he got his thrills gunning for the End Zone. But it was big 80s bands that really drove this sharp-dressed man crazy. In 1990, this surfer boy split for Hawaii in search of the Big Kahuna, but eventually came crawling back to Gainesville where he met Ken. Where better to consummate this new musical partnership than Drew's sister's wedding? From there, it was on to a different kind of courting ritual. Here's the twosome giving Old Glory her due at a University of Florida basketball game. Looks like an attentive crowd, but this wasn't their regular gig. This was sharing a weekly bill with the pasta special at a local Greasy Spoon. Bassist Jeff Barrows is busy bringing up the bottom end these days, but back in high school, he was riding high. This standout student got involved in just about every after-school activity. Even the yearbook staff wondered what his future would hold.
Allow me to introduce myself. I'm a man of wealth and taste. I've been around for long, long years. So many men, so to fit.
In 1990, Jeff's rock and roll voyage was underway at this University of Florida bash. With a tune borrowed from the Stones, a truckload of imported beer, and a couple of fans, he was on the fast track to stardom. Next up, Ryan Newell, Sister Hazel's lead guitarist. Even when he was in grade school, Ryan dressed for the arena. At his 6th grade talent show, he taught his classmates a lesson in guitar heroics. From there, it was on to more serious competition. Here's Ryan burning up the strings at an international children's festival in 1985. Ryan was a big winner on the kiddie circuit, but even this young hotshot had to haul his own equipment. Finally, it's rhythm man Mark Trojanowski. This kid was born to keep time. Mark was a band geek of the highest order. He mastered everything from the breezy sounds of the Caribbean to the far-out vibe of jazz fusion. He was a real team player. At the University of North Texas, Mark fell prey to marching madness. He had no problem following directions. By 21, he was working on his leadership skills. Mark didn't exactly dress the part of a maestro, but he wielded that baton with conviction. All that hard work paid off when Sister Hazel offered him a spot on the drummer's seat. By 1995, all the members were in place, and things were starting to gel. From the illustrious Gainesville bar circuit to local TV. The band was on Florida's fast track to fame. When the boys signed their big record deal in 1996, they pulled out all the stops. Wild groupies and Jägermeisters all around. Sister Hazel had arrived. Coming up, what's in a name?
Rex Stardust, lead electric triangle with Toad the Wet Sprocket, has had to have an elbow removed.
Sorry we asked. The evolution of Toad the Wet Sprocket, when before they were rock stars, returns. Got the goods on a rock star's early days? Young photos, home videos? Right to VH1 at Before They Were Rock Stars, 1633 Broadway, 5th floor, New York, New York, 10019. Or log on to VH1.com, AOL keyword VH1.
Coming.
What do these kids have in common? Well, for one thing, they could all rock. Toad the Wet Sprocket made their mark on the music world with catchy tunes like All I Want, 2 platinum albums, and one of the worst names in rock and roll.
The name comes from a Monty Python album called the Contractual Obligation album. And there's a little piece on it called Rock Notes, and the first line of it, the guy comes on and says, Rex Stardust, lead electric triangle with Toad the Wet Sprocket, has had to have an elbow removed following their recent successful worldwide tour of Finland. As I've said before, better names have come from worse places.
Can you blame them? These Santa Barbara boys were just tadpoles when they started out.
I met them in high school. They were seniors, I was a freshman, and it was just kind of like, you know, I got a guitar, you got drums, let's have a band. And it was, you know, the typical high school band that just ended up staying together.
Unfortunately, bands don't last forever. In 1998, Toad the Wet Sprocket called it quits. Not to worry, these guys have other talents to fall back on.
Would I come back down?
Take lead singer Glenn Phillips. They're still talking about his delightful turn as Benny Southstreet in San Marcos High's production of Guys and Dolls. Not only could Glenn sing, he showed plenty of muscle. Looking for a master of disguise? How about drummer Randy Gus? That's him hiding behind the facial hair in Oklahoma. You want someone with a little more range? Try guitarist Todd Nichols. Todd played a highly believable stage manager in Our Town, plotted a fiendish murder in The Informer, and brushed up on his 4-part harmonies with the Barbershop Quartet in The Music Man. Of course, if you're talking Music Man, you gotta talk bassist Dean Dinning. He really stole that show with his dead-on reading of Mayor Shin. Sadly, Dean's drama career was derailed by some very poor choices. So take note, these guys got talent, and they might just be available. They were just your average Joes, but they'd have their names up in lights in no time. They overcame distractions, disaster,
Toad the Wet Sprocket has had to have an elbow removed,
and disgrace. They did what they could to beat the odds.
I worked my ass off to get where the I'm at.
On that hard, humbling journey from the cradle to the stage.
He lost it all and somehow got back to the top. Meatloaf to Hell and Back, a VH1 original movie, up next, only on VH1.